And the secret to that global growth is having fans turn into golfers. And how do you do that? You have to have homegrown talent. So the PGA Tour getting into China, that's going to allow the players to develop that will attract the fans, and then we'll add the golfers. It all makes sense from that standpoint.
It'll be very interesting to see as we go forward. And somebody who is very involved in the movement in China, lending his hand and his time and his energy to the Olympic effort there, and a guy who saw the vision of global golf before anybody else in the game. That is World Golf Hall of Fame member Greg Norman. He joins us this morning. First of all, Greg, good morning, and I promise you don't waste daylight. You're probably out of your pajamas, but even your pajamas probably don't have pleats like Charlie's do. Good morning.
Good morning, Ann. Well, I don't know about my pajamas having pleats because I don't wear any.
All right, with that, let's get to this news. The idea of the PGA Tour using different regions of the world to eventually have all roads coming back to the United States in the form of cards on the Web.com tour, you think this is a wise move? And also, what do you think the big picture is with this decision with respect to China?
Well, I think it is a very wise move and a very smart move of the tour to do that. They've got to spread their tentacles. The European Tour did a fantastic job at that, as we all know, over a decade ago, and started to really propagate their talents on a global basis. And the PGA Tour recognized that, and I congratulate them, quite honestly. I think it's a very, very positive move. And look, when I was a young kid growing up, the place I wanted to eventually end up to play golf was the United States. It was really the benchmark of the best of the best. And to get here, I had to hone my skills on a global basis to feel like I could challenge and play well on the U.S. PGA Tour. So this is a fantastically positive move for China, especially. I know with the involvement I've had with the CGA as the ambassador and a coach for the national team, that we actually have to go to the grassroots and start at the bottom and start all the way up. And there is so much talent in China, and obviously the PGA Tour recognizes that. So kudos to them, and kudos to the CGA, and kudos to the China Olympic movement to really spearhead it, because we needed to identify tournaments for these young kids to play in. That was the biggest question mark or concern we had going forward. The talent was there, their ability to play was there, but getting them to play tournaments. So this is going to help the CGA national golf team tremendously well going into 2016 and beyond.
Greg, we're coming off a spring where we saw Wang Tianlan make the cut as a 14-year-old at the Masters, but when did you recognize that China had the potential to be a golfing power? How long ago did you recognize that?
Oh, about 4 or 5 years ago, when I was spending a lot of time with, doing clinics in China for Mission Hills and places like that around the country, and quite honestly, it wasn't their physical ability that I thought was special. Every young kid with great coaching and good basics and good direction on the physical side of things will always move forward. Where I found it was fascinating was at the end of the clinic, I would sit down with the 40 or 60 young kids aged between 8 and 16, and they were so cerebral. They really wanted to talk about the mental side of golf, from the negative aspect to the positive aspect. How do you make corrections? How do you make adjustments on the fly? And then I knew if these kids are talking about that, they're going to make a major move going forward. And now we're 4 or 5 years into it, and here we are. We're giving them a springboard to go forward. So, I've been consistent with saying this for years and years now, that the East will take over the West in the game of golf within the generation. And when you have 1.4 billion people in China getting the taste of the game of golf, they will absolutely accelerate their program. And that's what I say. I compliment the tour for recognizing that. And more importantly, it's good for the game of golf.
Greg, you mentioned the word tentacles. Tentacles have ramifications. The idea of what the young American now does. You have 5 cards PGA Tour Canada, 5 cards going Latino America. You can anticipate maybe 5, possibly more, for PGA Tour China. There are 31 Americans in the second stage of European Tour School. Do you think that's one of the ramifications? The road back home may be through the European Tour for young Americans?
Oh, absolutely. Look, you've got to give them the ability to decide on where they want to go. That's going to be the player's choice in life. And, and yet if you decide to go to Europe, great. Europe has a great cultural background. It'll groom you not only from your physical skills on playing the game of golf, but also getting worldwide culture underneath your belt and understanding different food types and different languages and how to travel the world. And so when you start looking at places like Latin America and you start looking about China and Asia, so now all of a sudden you're spreading the culture of the game of golf throughout the world, which, I've been a big proponent of that. The message is getting out there. It's taken a long time to do it. And getting the institutions behind it is fantastic. So having the players or giving them a litany of opportunities to choose from is the way it should be. And the players, to get to where they want to go, whether it's playing in the European Tour, whether it's playing the US PGA Tour, which I believe would be everybody's ultimate goal, via the Web.com Tour, that's their choice. They're going to decide how to do it. But at least they've got opportunities to do it. Back in my day, we only had one opportunity, and that was Europe.
Finally, Greg, the idea of Adam Scott, who you know so well, who you have mentored since he was a very young man, he still is a very young man, is he prepared for the celebration and the reaction to a green jacket being in Australia, being worn by a champion?
Oh, absolutely is. You talk about a guy with solid grounding and basing underneath him. Adams extremely well prepared to do that, and he'll embrace it. He's very, very proud and patriotic Australian. You could see that with his reaction come on Aussie when he hauled that putt on the 18th green at Augusta National. So he's going to take it down there because he's going to share it. Australia's a very small country, but huge. And mass-wise, but very small, and population-wise, so everybody feels like we can reach out and touch each other, and that's the beautiful part about it. So he's going to share it, and so he should, and I hope the Australians embrace it and take a look at that and recognize the efforts that he has done in the game of golf by winning the Masters, and he will continue on with it too. So you only have to look at the smile on his face when he stood there at the presentation and with his arms spread out. That was a signal to all that he achieved a goal in life that was very, very important to him and to Australia.
Well, Greg, as always, we appreciate the input. We value your time here on Morning Drive. Enjoy your Sunday. Hope to talk soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and you too. Thanks, and have a great day.
Okay, there is Greg Norman, World Golf Hall of Fame member. His thoughts about China, his involvement in China, not to mention his vision of global golf many, many years ago when people were thinking, this can't be done. It's being done. The game is more globalized now than it ever has been. When we come back, the man who just won in China, Dustin Johnson. What